here on WLTH 1370 AM. That's 92.7 in the FM dial. If you're nasty, the region's choice, the people's voice. It is 6:45 in the PM here on April the 11th, 2025. The future's here. The future is now, and the future's not looking so great for a young man in Frisco, Texas, named Karmelo Anthony. As it goes, this story has actually set social media on fire. I hate doing stories like this personally because they get everyone riled up, but I feel like they are important stories. This is America, and these things are still issues that we have to deal with. You know, just because I don't like talking about it, that don't make them go away. So what am I referring to? I'm referring to an incident that happened at a track meet in Texas. A 17-year-old student named Austin Metcalf was fatally stabbed during an altercation at a high school track meet in suburban Dallas, Texas. The suspect was a 17-year-old boy named Karmelo Anthony, Karmelo with the K, not like a C like the NBA player. He was taken into custody, Mr. Karmelo Anthony, and charged with first-degree murder. You know. And, yeah, that's serious. That's legitimately serious. The Frisco Independent School District, which is where this happened, said that the stabbing happened at a meet where student athletes from 8 of the district's 12 schools were competing. The student who was killed was Austin Metcalf, who was 11th grader at Memorial High School. What we know is that him and Karmelo got into some sort of altercation, and Karmelo Anthony stabbed Metcalf in the chest after a fight or during a fight. According to the court documents, witnesses pointed out Karmelo to the school resource officer, who was the first to arrive on the scene. The officer spotted Anthony on the north end of the track. He said, "I gave the suspect instructions to keep his hands up in the air." During that time, the suspect said verbally out loud, "I was protecting myself." So the first words from Mr. Karmelo Anthony, the young boy who happened to be African American, was that I was protecting myself. Mr. Anthony also told the officer he put his hands on me. After the officer mentioned to the others that he had the alleged suspect in custody, the report states that Anthony said, "I'm not alleged, I did it. He put his hands on me and I told him not to." Anthony continued as officers walked him out of the stadium in handcuffs to the squad car. The report states that Anthony also asked the officers, "Is he going to be okay?" So he was still worried about whether or not the young boy that he stabbed, who happened to be white, Austin Metcalf, was okay. And he asked, if what happened could be considered self-defense. The officers took pictures of the blood on Anthony's hands as evidence, but they did not find the knife on him, which is bizarre. So we don't know where the knife is. This is a really tragic situation. I don't care where you stand at politically or racially. Anytime a young person dies, and particularly violently before their time, it is a tragedy. Period. It's a tragedy. This is a tragedy for Austin Metcalf's family. He actually died in the arms of his twin brother. He had a twin brother named Hunter Metcalf, and he described his twin brother's final moments as he died in his arms. He said, "I put my hand on, I guess, the wound." He said, "I grabbed his hand and looked in his eyes." He said, "I just saw his soul leave, and it took mine too." That is horrific. That is horrific, to be 17 years old and to have your twin brother die in your arms, to see his soul leave. That young man will never be right again. So at a certain point, again, we have to take the racial politics and the politics out of it and just look at this is a human story. Karmelo Anthony Austin Metcalf, these are two young children. You just don't know who these people were going to grow up to be. Both of these people's families are changed forever. Austin Metcalf's family have to live the rest of their lives without him. Karmelo Anthony has to his family has to, spend the rest of their lives knowing that, somebody's dead. Karmelo Anthony was asking whether the boy was going to be all right. Obviously, he did not want to kill the young man, or at least from his perspective, he didn't want to kill the young man. And knowing that he killed somebody, even if it was in self-defense, which I'm not saying it was or wasn't, because I wasn't there and I haven't seen any video of the case. That is horrific. That is a tragedy. Even to have to kill somebody in self-defense is a tragedy. I remember hearing about, when I was younger, about this professional wrestler named Scott Hall, who's like one of the, if you know anything about wrestling, he used to be Razor Ramon in the WWE back in the 80s and 90s and stuff like that. And before he started wrestling, he was a bodyguard. He was a bodyguard. No, he was a bouncer. I'm sorry. He was a bouncer at a bar. And he ended up having to kill one of the patrons, I guess, who had brought a gun or something, or a knife. And he wasn't found culpable legally, but he always, for the rest of his life, held on to the idea that he had killed somebody, even though it was in self-defense, and it ruined him. This is a big, strong man, close to 7 feet tall, but knowing he took somebody's life, even in self-defense, it ruined him for the rest of his life. He developed great drug problems, alcohol problems for the rest of his life, because he said he was haunted by taking someone's life. That is not a joke. And Karmelo Anthony is 17 years old. He's still a child. His brain hasn't finished developing. We don't know what effect this will have on him for the rest of his life. Ironically, Karmelo Anthony just saved the life of a young white girl about 3 years ago. And the girl's mother is one of Karmelo's biggest defenders. She said, I know he's not racist. I know he's not some crazy man. He just saved my daughter's life. My daughter was literally drowning and Karmelo saved her life. He was in the newspaper for saving a life just a few years ago. So this is not some random wild animal, thug, gangster, hoodlum that people, that certain people want to make him out to be. So we don't know what's going on, except for a tragedy has happened. Now, what was the fight supposedly about? Now, Austin Metcalf's family said that they believe the fight started over in the stands over a seating issue. So it was about somebody having a chair or something. I don't know. And he's in jail on, Karmelo Anthony's in Collin County Jail on a $1 million bond. Now, a big part of the reason that this case has become so controversial and become so widespread on social media is because of a lot of the misinformation that has come from the case. And there is actually a civil rights group that has gotten involved. There's a minister named Minister Alexander who talks about the misinformation is being spread. He said there's a false social media post that was made to look like it came from the Frisco Police Department. And he also said that the autopsy report that surfaced on social media was false. Some other false narratives that have come from the case. Austin Metcalf and Karmelo Anthony did not know each other. There's misinformation that said that they were at a party together or something, or that they didn't know. This was their first time meeting. These young men did not know each other. Karmelo Anthony did not know Austin Metcalf. Austin Metcalf did not know Karmelo Anthony. They merely had an encounter, an altercation at a track meet. Minister Alexander also said that the Frisco police have interviewed more than 75 people and the investigation is ongoing. He said that the police have collected several videos showing the stabbing. So again, until we start seeing these videos of what happened, I think we should refrain from knowing what happened, from having too strong of opinion about it either way. I know that's hard, but you know, there is evidence. There's video evidence of what happened. I don't think black people should jump out the window. I don't think white people should jump out the window. We should allow the evidence to come out. We've learned our lesson from this. At least I hope we've learned our lesson from past situations. Also, you have fake accounts impersonating Frisco Police Chief David Shilson and the Collin County Medical Examiner's Office that have also disseminated false narratives about the events leading up to his death. One post said that Metcalf died from a drug overdose. I mean, that's not funny, but I'm just saying, I guess that's a lot of somebody's get back about the right always talking about George Floyd died of a drug overdose. Another alleged that a mutual combat altercation happened, which was initiated by Metcalf. For his part, Karmelo Anthony and his family's lawyers released a statement on Monday that said, Karmelo and the entire Anthony family are sincerely saddened that a life was lost and offer their condolences to the family of Austin Metcalf. They also called for people to refrain from rushing to judgment until all the facts of the case are out, which is what I'm calling for. Anthony's legal team also said that they are seeking a reduction in the $1 million bond. So this young man is he's in deep crap. $1 million bond is a lot. That means it would take 10% to get him out. They'd probably have to put up his mama's house or something, $100,000, find $100,000 and use like his parents' something, house, cars, business, whatever, as collateral. Give Send Go has raised $300,000 for his defense. $300,000. So there are a lot of people sending money to his defense. Again, because this has become so politicized and racialized, this is where we're at. Austin Metcalf's family has also initiated a fundraiser, which has raised almost $300,000. So here we go. The black-white thing, once again, black people raise, you know, the black families raise $300,000 for their guy. The white families raise $300,000 for their child. And, you know, it's, you know, here we go again, just like with OJ, just like with, you know, Trayvon Martin and George Zimmerman, just like with Kyle Rittenhouse. Here we go again with these sort of polarizing stories that keep happening here in this country because we never fully dealt with America's racial baggage over 400 years. But it is important to say that Karmelo Anthony, I talked about earlier how when he was 14 years old, he took it upon himself to save a young white girl from drowning. But that's not all he was. He also came from a two-parent home. There's a lot of narratives about him being a thug. He was not a thug. He came from a two-parent home, a Christian home. He had a 3.7 GPA. Okay? He was looking to play football on the collegiate level and had 2 jobs. So it's important to understand that, again, people have their narratives. There's you'll see a lot of social media posts, particularly from a lot of right-wing influencers making, you know, just like they did with Trayvon Martin. They'll find anything to make the kid look like a thug. You know, it's funny, again, how America works. I saw a picture of Karmelo Anthony holding a gun, right? Holding a shotgun. And they're like, oh my God, this is Karmelo Anthony, some horribly violent thug or something. And then you see that the picture has been cropped. It was actually Karmelo Anthony and his 2 white friends. So again, this was not some random kid who just hated white people or something and wanted to stab some. He's in a picture with 2 other white friends and they're holding guns. One of his other friends is holding a gun too. And then you could, but at the same time, you could find a picture of Austin Metcalf and his brother holding shotguns as well, because it's Texas. It's Texas. The black kids are holding guns, and they're criminals. The white kids are holding guns, and they're hunters in the minds of the public. Holding a gun didn't make Kyle Rittenhouse out to be a bad person. He had an AR-15, crossed state lines to a city that he didn't even live in, and he got himself into an altercation and then shot 2 people. That was self-defense. Karmelo Anthony didn't even have a gun at the time that he got into his altercation. He had a knife, which you're allowed to have. Even in states where you can't have a gun, you can have a knife. But all of a sudden, self-defense doesn't matter in that situation. This is what I'm saying. America never deals with its historic racial baggage. And because of that, this is what you get. It's unfortunate that these 2 young men are the ones who are involved and had their lives changed by this. Again, I don't wish ill will on either family. This is a painful, painful, tragic situation for the Anthony family and the Metcalf family. I don't know who they are. I don't know what their beliefs are, whatever they are. Nobody should have to lose a 17-year-old child either to prison for the rest of their life or to death. This is tragedy, and I hope we can all agree on that. Let's get to the calls. Hello, caller. What's up?
What's up, Scott? How you doing?
It's all good, brother.
Yeah, man. Great program as always, man. You know, this is where things got kind of, you know, as the new word now, it got kind of yippy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, listen, both of those young men, you know, they done raised quite a bit of money. He can get out on bond, because bond $1 million, they done already raised $235, you know, $1,000. But, you know, the young man, what's the young man, Metcalf?
Yeah, Austin Metcalf.
His parents that came out already. His dad came out, man, and said it wasn't racial. He said, everybody calm down, let everything, you know, settle down and let them get, you know, what was happening. You know, he calming everybody down. If the parents could say it wasn't racial, then everybody else should just stand back, okay, because that's their child, that's their other people's children, you know, child too, you know. So, you know, it wasn't a racial thing. It was just, you know, young people, you know, full of testosterone, and, you know, they get kind of hot, you know. And so that's what, you know, happened. You know how, you know, everybody, you know, you put 2 bulls out there, you know, and, you know, they're going to act out.
Right.
You know. But, hey, you know, like you had said something, you know, about, you know, like how, you know, these companies are exporting, you know, businesses and things like that. And you're perfectly right, but you know what went wrong? When I told you, I said, you know, why don't we have a Toyota place here? We got plenty of room, but they didn't. They went to Columbus, right?
Right.
Okay, then why didn't they come here so Scott Cannon could have a job right here? You leave a radio station, he go down there and work, or leave a Toyota plant and come there. Listen, man, I'm gonna tell you something. What they think about this, man, place right here, man, they play you like a mark. Now, you know, I know you done heard of Lear before, right?
Right.
Okay, Lear could have came here. We got plenty of room, but they said the trucking company here would somebody else always come on the radio and say, well, people are located, my people are located right there in that place right there, but the air blow all over down there. You know, they're about 10 blocks away, but they still pick up the residency of the air from right there, okay? So, hey, man, why don't we ride around Gary and see some of these businesses, man, that, you know, that if we had to give a grade to, the grade that we would get some of these businesses that's up. Now, I give you all business down there A+. You look at it, man, I mean, it looks like a real vibrant building there, you know. I mean, the lot, the flowers, the building itself, man. I don't know if the bricks been water blasted, but it's a pretty solid business, man. We need to go around and look at those type of things and see the businesses here that look like they're shattered, but they up. I don't, you know. But hey, man, back to where you yourself need a better job, man, because you yourself now, you ain't gonna have no you know, we're not going to invent a family and say if you had 2 kids and all like that. I hear people say that all. You know, I had 2 children. They invent families. You know what I'm saying? They're too selfish to go out and adopt some children, but they can invent children. You know, if I had 2 children, I had a daughter, son, and things like that, what I would do.
Right.
With families. But listen, man, we're being treated like this, and you guys being treated like this. Now, me, myself, I'm an ex-employee of U.S. Steel, U.S. Sheeting 10, okay?
Yes, yes.
Think of this, man. I'm going to tell you something. We had to work in those conditions because a lot of us, we didn't even know no better. We didn't know that we were subject to go into those plants and come out with emphysema, you know, heart problems. Had to go to the rheumatology doctors years later, bringing home those bowls of asbestos and different other, you know, things that was in those plants, man. But it was the way that we lived here. They could have bought a Toyota plant here. Now, what they did, they had the American Can Company, International Can Company. They had other places that we could go to work. But everybody chose the big mill. The big mill was the mother, the mother of Gary right at that present time. But why can't they bring in a new mother like Toyota? They won't do that.
I agree.
To help us.
I absolutely agree. A lot of it has to do with the people we have running this city and running this community. But thank you for your call. I got to go to this other call. This other caller been on the air for eight minutes.
Tell me this right here.
Yeah.
Tell me this right here. They could have had the best leadership. They had some of the smartest people running the city. And people don't like you, man. They don't like you. That's just simple facts, man. They don't like Gary. They show a disdain for this city. This city has got what? This city could, we got an airport, right? This is a transportation hub. They don't like Gary. We might as well face that. We got to fend for ourselves. We got to come up with something new.
All right. Thank you for your call, bro. Hello, caller. What's up?
What's up, Scott?
What's up?
I don't know if you remember it's been about 6 years now. I don't know the exact date because I don't like looking at the obituary. My cousin was killed in Chicago. On his way to a basketball game with his twin brother. And his twin brother died in here. And the person that did it was arrested. And Romney Manuel told up at my cousin's sister.
You're breaking up.
Okay, I said Romney Manuel. Matter of fact, let's call you back from another call.
Okay. I think he's gonna call back, but I can't reiterate enough that we need to be cautious about these types of cases. Everybody jumps out the window with the cases. Remember Tawana Brawley, folks. Okay. Remember, you know, the situation with Bernard Getz back in the 80s. That was another case that, you know, everybody got up in arms about. You know, I don't want, it's particularly black folks, I don't want us to look crazy. You know what I mean? There's been a few like Duke Lacrosse. I think most famously Duke Lacrosse was a case where this black stripper accused all these white lacrosse players of raping her. Come to find out she's completely nuts, made the whole thing up, ended up shooting her boyfriend or husband or something a few years after that. She just apologized a few years ago. I want to say last year. She apologized. She's mentally ill. She had a lot of issues. It's important to let the facts come in. They say that there's video. Please do not let these hustlers, whether they're the right wing or they're the left wing, whether they're white, whether they're black, get you to come up with an opinion, rush and be judgmental about what happened in the case that you don't know what happened, and jump out the window and say some stuff or do some stuff that can't be taken back or that make you look, make people look at you sideways from then on out. It's important to understand the idea of due process, and not only due process, but waiting till the evidence and all the facts of the case come out. Let me go back to this caller. Hello, caller.
Hey, Scott, I'm calling back.
Yeah. You sound better now.
Like I was saying, my cousin died in the arms of his twin brother in Chicago, and at that time, Rob Emanuel was the mayor. They were on their way to a basketball game, and a guy wanted his jacket, a 10-year-old guy. They shot and killed him at a L stop on 63rd Street. His murder got nowhere near the attention of this murder due to the fact that racism sells. There is money in racism.
Yep.
That's why we got the Al Sharpton.
Yeah.
That's why what's the guy, Rashid, or whatever his name is?
Oh, Tariq Nasheed? Yeah.
Yeah, and the other guy. They make money off of racism. As long as there is racism, they are going to be there. And what's the guy now, the new attorney,
Ben Crump.
Crump? He shows up everywhere. But he's in it for the money. He's not in it for the right reason. So when you brought out something, Scott, and I'm glad you did, because you do a lot of research to find out, because everybody was saying that this young African male was bullied by the two white guys. But you just brought out some...
They didn't know each other.
That they didn't even know each other.
They didn't know each other, no.
They didn't even know each other. And you brought out some more important information that a lot of people don't want to listen to. This young African-American man was not a thug.
No.
He was not a thug at all. This young man made a decision at a spur of a moment. I don't know why he brought a knife to attract me, why he set up under their tent. I don't know. Only he knows that. But social media will put you in a spin. God, have you ever seen those 30-second video clips that they put to make the police look bad?
Oh, I mean,
yeah. Everybody gives a comment on a 30-second clip. And I ask people, how can you make a comment on a 30-second clip when you can make a comment on 30 seconds of your own life? And if we just got into that point to where is the longest is us against them, we're going to keep this world divided. Longest I can sell racism, whether it be white or black, I don't care. Because you got white people making money off of this just like black people. They're going to keep it going because this is where they make their money. Right now, the same way you got black attorneys want to work for this young man, the young African-American man, you got white attorneys that are going to be on top of this so that they can see what's going on. And I don't know how truthful it is, Scott. Maybe you can correct me on this. This case has been put in front of a black female judge.
Oh, I didn't know. I haven't seen the judge.
They posted a picture. Someone posted a picture on the young African-American page that they got for him. And they got a African-American female as the judge that's supposed to be for this. So the first thing come to my mind would be they finna play the race game. And they gonna say if this young man get off, it's gonna be because of this black judge. I don't know if she's a judge or not, because like you explained, and I agree with you, they have been sending so much stuff through social media.
Yeah.
That the man died on drugs, and it's just crazy.
Yeah. How
social media could spin people's heads today.
Right.
But Scott, it's just, and I talk to my little cousin all the time about what he went through, because I had a twin brother. My twin brother didn't die in my hand, but I had to rub his head at a morgue because someone killed him. But as you said, this young man died with his brother in his hand, and I got a cousin who did the same with his brother, and I talked to him a lot. And that's something, it's kind of like a mother losing a son and your son died in your hand. or a kid or even a best friend. I don't think it's something you will ever get over, because I'm not over having to identify my little brother's body. I say my little brother because I was born for him. So I always used to tell him I'm the big brother, even though we were twins.
Right.
But I never get over having to go down there to Cook County, man, and have to identify my little brother.
Right.
And it's I don't know what it is, but Scott, I want to ask you this question. How do you love your job?
It's all good, brother.
So do you think you need a better job?
I didn't say that. I never said that.
I'm asking you, Scott.
What I said was I used to work at this place in Portage. I used to work at this place in Portage where I had to stand for 8 hours straight for $7.25 an hour. That was not WLTH. Okay. I have no problems with Dr. Barry Williams or Natalie Average or any of these other people.
And I understand. And I understand you also work with a 501c3.
Yes. Have no beef.
So you are comfortable in what you're doing, right?
It's all good, brother.
So what makes somebody think you need a better job?
Hey, money is money. So the callers have their opinions. But thank you for your call. I got to go to a break.
All right, man. You have a good day.
It's all good. As you heard the music, you can hear the music. That means it is time to go to a break. Time for the Happy Happies. We'll be right back after these on WLTH 1370 AM. Don't you leave me here.